Welcome back to my channel. This is the final piece of Jimmy's back piece, his left buttock. It's been a long road, he's done very well. A bit of freehand, there's my sketch I drew out. This is a Japanese demon. There's so many of them, I'm not quite sure what this one is called, but we found a reference and he liked it, so he asked me if I could do a representation of it. So here we go. 9 round shader, of course, for my outline. No music on this video. I just found out that the app I was using, it's called InShot. It's very good. Quite simple to use, so that suits me. But it had music on there that you can use, and apparently it was copyright free. But it turns out it wasn't. So there's these little messages on the videos about earnings and all that. I mean, I'm nowhere near earning any money yet on this. But if because I've used this music with a copyright, if it gets monetized, then I won't get any of the money at all. It'll all go to this poxy music that I've been using, which anyone could make with a cheap kids music making piano thing with about 4 keys on it and a biscuit tin. So all my hard work, tattooing away and filming it and editing it, nope, I don't get none of that. It all goes to the guy who just spent about 35 seconds making up a backing track. So I'm not sure how that happened, but I'm not happy about it, that's for sure. Because I like a bit of music in the background. You know, you don't want these heavy silences, which you often get in tattoo studios just before you start. But we don't want that on my videos. But anyway, we'll see how we do. I might get some uncopyrighted stuff, but it shouldn't make a lot of difference. But I do like to create a little bit of atmosphere. Anyway, here we go, yes. Zipping along nicely. He's done ever so well, old Jim. He's a pleasure to tattoo. Sits there, well, lays there without any problem. You get the odd twitch, but that's muscle twitching. It's nothing to do with him sort of writhing around in agony or anything. I mean, it isn't very pleasant on the bum. Everyone I've done a piece on their buttock said it's one of the worst places they've ever had. So anyone who can go a full piece, then you're doing well. You're up there. You're a warrior. It's funny coming to the end of these great big pieces you do. Been working on it for about, all in all, 6 months over a period of a few years. And once you know there isn't an awful lot left to do, it's quite emotional at times. You know, you build a rapport with your customer. I know he's my cousin, but we don't see much of each other. Just a lot lately, so that I can do these videos. But you know, like I've said before, you do make a lot of good friends and contacts when you're a tattooist. People respect you as long as you're nice. You know, be nice to people, they'll be nice to you, that kind of thing. Listen to what they want. Don't get all prima donna and, you know, I only do portraits and photo ultra realism. You know, you've got to earn a living. So you have to do things sometimes that you don't particularly want to do, but you've got to make a good job of it, because that person's going to have to wear it for life, forever. That's going to be there on their dying day. So they're going to look at it hundreds of thousands of times. So you don't want it to be something that they look at and think, oh God, I wish I'd never had that done. You know, I've So I've been doing this a very long time. I've never really had anyone come up to me and say that they'd regretted it. The only thing would be names, where they'd had a loved one's names, that turned into an unloved one. That's the only thing people want to cover up. You just don't really notice them after a while. I've got one on my face, which I love. I mean, I'm in my 60s now. It doesn't matter to me. It's not going to affect jobs or anything like that. But I love it. So, if I'd have had a bad one, I wouldn't have liked it. But you just don't notice it. People think, what am I going to do when I'm older? People say, like, what are you going to do? You get one on your chest. A young lady or something gets one on her chest, and then someone says, well, what are you going to do when you're like 60 or 70? Well, you're certainly not going to get your chest out, but it's going to be a nice reminder of when you were young, a decision you made when you were young. That's you in your earlier life, full of spirit, full of plans. So they're a good diary, a good actual bodily diary. My ones on my arms and my chest, my legs. I pretty much know where and when they were done. I don't know dates exactly, but I know roughly what period of my life and where I was. I was abroad a lot of the times. I've had some done in America, France, Holland, Germany, just with my travels. And you can see why everyone's getting tattooed nowadays. It's a basic human nature, I think. We were stopped before before the 80s and that. It was frowned upon. Women didn't have tattoos when I first started in 1980. I don't know how long it was, but it was quite a while before I actually tattooed a lady, a female, because it just, they instantly tarred them with the wrong brush. Loose women or something like that. It's ridiculous. Or if you were a bloke, you'd have them on your arms where they were showed, and people thought you were a convict or a criminal or ex-military, which ain't quite so bad. But it was ridiculous how things were judged in those days, how we were judged. But I personally quite enjoyed that. I thought, fuck you, I'm doing this for me, no one else. If I want to get tattooed, I just like looking at them on me. The human body, really, unless you make major work on it, is pretty boring. You've really got to work hard to get a decent shape. And the physical exertion, that's always eluded me a bit. I quite like sitting on my arse drawing on people. A nice mid-green to start. I think this took about 3 sessions, this piece on his backside. I did the main figure first, just to get the size and get it in scale with everything. So he's done, and then I'd done the background, which probably took a couple of goes, and I think tidying up, joining it with all the rest of it, and then just tidying up the edges. So probably about 6 hours, I would say. But that is a large piece. Not saying he's got a big arse, but the buttock is one of your biggest muscles, apparently. So, it's quite a big area to fill in. But I don't panic when I'm doing these big things. If you looked at it at the beginning and thought, oh my God, I've got to fill all that in with this tiny little machine, needle setup, 9-round shader. But you just pace yourself, enjoy the moment, get lost in the moment, really. You're chatting away, but really you're deep within the old concentration and just zeroing in the zone on what you're doing. I'm at the fortunate position now where I don't really have any problems with my machines or anything like that. My equipment, all the colours I use are really nice. I've used them for years. Machines are good. But when you start, that's all you worry about is that noise. It's making that funny noise? What's going on? And you're just you're prone to panicking, so you can't really concentrate. So it's a long road. Of course it is. It's like anything when you're trying to master something. But when you get to this stage, it's so much more pleasurable. I'd be sitting there and tattooing away, and all of a sudden, machine would stop. So it's like, so you look at it like, what the fuck? What's happened here? Why is it not working? So I'd put my foot, I'd bang the foot switch to get it going. Nothing. Then you see wires come out or something like that. So you got take all your gloves off, put everything down, fix it. So that interrupts your concentration. And then off you go again. 10 minutes later, something else happens. You spill your water or your black ink all over yourself. It's a constant battle. It may look easy, but it certainly isn't. But then who doesn't like a challenge, But it isn't a challenge when you're way down the line like me. It's just what you like doing. It's me. I wouldn't do anything else. I've only had 2 jobs in my life. I was an apprentice at that factory in Crawley, which was just boring, soul destroying, And once I left there, I had the odd part-time job, but it was only part-time. Then I got into the tattooing, and that was that. That's all I've done since. I've been my own boss. It's great. I recommend it to anyone to be your own boss. Not necessarily tattooing, but just to be your own boss. You get in some of these places, and there's always one dick that pisses you off. Like tries to rule everyone and boss everyone around. When really they're not even, they might be your assistant manager, but they're on about 50p an hour more than you, possibly even about 20p an hour. And they want you to call them sir almost, and that's not me. You can fuck yourself, Respect where respect is due. You've got to earn your respect, haven't you? Not by bossing people about. So this for me has been the ideal job. Just getting on with everyone, making friends every day. You do get a few wallies, but no one that's ever really caused me too much grief. I've never had a finger laid on me. Touch wood. You get the odd sticky moment, but it's how you handle these things. It grows you up really as a person, and widens your experience in everything. I do like conversing with people, and I do miss that when I'm not in the studio now. So, but I look back on it with much pleasure. It was fantastic. Shop's buzzing on a Saturday. You've got about 5 or 6 people in there, all having a laugh. Music's on. Everyone's all there for the same reason. Just great. And you're sitting there, centre of attention. I mean, I'm not particularly an attention seeker, even though I've got tattoos, covered in tattoos and that. It's just the way it's worked out. I didn't try and impress anyone, really. I've seen something on someone and I thought, oh, that looks quite nice. I'll do something like that. So I'll go and get it done, or, particular. I've got my ears widened, my earlobes 25 millimetres now. That's what you do when you're 60, isn't it? But just be yourself. And tattoos are the best way of it being different. It is hard to be different nowadays, but because people are getting covered in them. But then they're all different. All the tattoos that people have are different, the sleeves and everything. It's a little bit hard to discern what's what with the black and grey that's gone fashionable. From a distance, anyway. I do prefer the colour myself, but I'm old school, of course. But I hope it all comes back in, because there's some wicked colours about now. They're much easier to use than they used to be. People don't realise, you think, oh, just get some red, tattoo some red in, get some blue, tattoo some blue there. But things like the blue, for instance, wouldn't go in. It was very, what's the word? It wasn't very fine pigment, so it was very grainy. So you'd go over it, the area, thinking like, see there with the yellow, it looks like it's all going in, but then when you wipe it off, there's nothing goes in. So that was pretty frustrating. But nowadays, all the colours are really good. Even white, you couldn't do a great big tattoo in white, like a snowman or something, but highlights and things like that, very possible with it, with the white. Give it a nice clean up, and that's the end of that little session. There, that's that particular piece done. Now, time to start the background. You can get a better idea if you've done the main subject in the middle, then you can just sketch it in and fill the background. I draw it in just normal pen really, or a marker pen, and then I follow it. I do change it. It's only a basic sketch that I start with, because once you get going you see different things you want to do, or you might have to change something, but pretty standard stuff really. It's so nice not having to use a transfer all the time. Everything, when I first started, everything I did was a transfer. Even if I was adding some couple of little flames or something like that, I'd have to make a transfer and stick it on, so you're very limited. But if you can do freehand, which is certainly not impossible after a few years, then you can change it as you go. Comes out different. People, when they're having this sort of thing off me, they come in and say what they want, but they never know what they're going to get. And I never really know. I've got a rough idea of what I'm going to do. It's only when I stare at it for 30 seconds, a minute, play around with a few things in my mind, and then start doing it with the pen. And yeah, it's never what I thought. It's quite funny how these things develop. You think you'd lay awake the night before you go to sleep worrying about it and all that. The guy comes in, lays down, sits down, or the girl, and off we go. Hang on to your hats. It's usually a bit of a wild ride, but always good result. I'm not the greatest tattooist in the world by any means. I would never say that, but I can do a bit of everything, and that's really what keeps you going. I suppose I specialise a bit in Japanese, but I see a lot of work online and I think, wow, that's so good. That must have taken hours. But I can't sit there and do, say, a piece like his torso there, the green and the yellow, and take like 5 or 6 hours doing it. The way I was sort of not brought up with it, but the way it developed, you were doing single designs every day. The people come in, no bookings, they just come in. You'd go down to the shop, no one would be there, you'd sit down, make a cup of tea, then someone would walk in, and then you'd have to ask them what they wanted, and then you'd have to do it pretty much. They'd usually pick one off the wall, which was quite nice. They wouldn't just say, oh, I want an eagle, can you draw one? Or can you do a dagger here and there? They'd look through all your stuff and then they'd say what they want. But I wouldn't have a clue what I'd got for the day. Now people are booked up 2-3 months ahead, You'd just be doing one after the other, quick fire, you had to do them fairly quickly. You didn't want to take hours and hours, you had to earn some money. It could have been a name, just a name, or mum or dad, or eagle across the chest, or start of a sleeve, it was, every day was different, a challenge. It was brilliant. It's sort of, it's nice to know what you've got planned coming on, of course, but when you do it the way I used to have to do it, you had to just go for it there and then. They want it there now, so you're not like, all right, we'll come back in 2 weeks and we'll get it done. It'd be, okay, right, sit down, pick the one you want, I want to do it. So that was the great draw for me. After working in the factory, sitting in my chair, picking my nose, with nothing to do, just looking at the clock every 2 minutes, it was ridiculous. Tattering away, you'd start off in the morning, and then by the time you knew it, it was sort of mid-afternoon, and nearly time to go home. Yeah, very good. Anyway, what am I doing now? Oh yeah, I'm shading in the green. Got my mid-green, but I've used a lot of dark blue to shade it. So that gives it a nice bit of texture. So this is running at about times 3.5 speed. So that's what I speed the film up to. But, starting to look good. I never stand back and admire it. You just look from where you are. It's not like a painting. When you do a painting, you have to step back and admire it. But tattooing's a bit more close-up, personal than that. I know what I want it to come out like, or the end result, what I want that to be. And that's what I concentrate on getting done, aiming towards. No blood. Jolly good. Hasn't even gone red, actually. If you don't damage the skin too much, then it's much better for healing. In the old days, they used to scab up. God, sometimes you'd forget what was underneath the scab because it was so big and thick. But they used to say put Savlon on it. I mean, Savlon. Who uses Savlon now? I don't think anyone sort of around any teenager and they would know what Savlon was. So yeah, that was the recommended cure, but fucking hell, it used to scab up. I had a bit on my arm that just it did go a bit funny. I don't know how. Maybe I got something in it, or maybe he did. The guy that did it, but it scabbed right up. You could almost tap on it. It was that dry and solid, and I probably had it for about 5 or 6 weeks, and it came into one great big scab, this area. But then, and I couldn't get it off. You couldn't even pick it off because it was so big. So I went to Spain on holiday with the lads, and it was only through swimming in the sea that the salt water loosened it up a bit and healed it, that I could pull the scab off, and it was like must have been 1.5 inches round. And I was in the bathroom when I did it, and I sort of looked at it like, oh my God, and there was a great big hole in my arm, this dent where the scab had been. So I threw it into the toilet and it went doit, just like you drop one. So yeah, but most of them have been pretty good. There was no colour left in it, hardly any lines. It really scabbed. So luckily, it's come on a long way. You people nowadays are so lucky. Oh, how we suffered with our scabs. There you go, there's the main body finish. Looks nice with the yellow highlights. Once he's all filled in, you can see how big he is. He's the size of my hand. I've got quite big hands. So, oh, little twitch. It's just that line running down the middle of his buttock that involuntarily twitches. I do like doing the highlights. That's when it starts looking really good. I thought I'd add a little pattern to his loincloth. Just makes it a bit more interesting. I was trying to look up Japanese patterns, but it's so difficult. There's not many about, so I sort of made this one up. But it looked good. I like all the obligatory blossom petals. You have to have those just to break up the black a bit. The black hasn't quite healed up there. It's a little bit patchy, but it does even out nicely. You'll see at the end, again, just my 9 round shader. The old workhorse. I think I'd like them to bury me with some 9 round shaders. We've spent so much time together in this life. Yeah, put a handful of 9 round shaders in my coffin. That's all I'll need in the afterlife. Thank you very much. I'd just like to say thanks ever so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. Learned a little bit maybe. Given you a bit of inspiration maybe to get your own tattoos. Don't get your first one on your bum though. That's not for the faint-hearted. But yeah, help me out if you can. Like the video if you like it and subscribe. It's all free and everything. You just click the button. I always forget when I'm watching YouTube videos, but it is really nice if you can help my channel grow, and I'll keep doing these. There you go, look. The final back piece finished. That's it from Jimmy. But I have got more coming. I've got some portraity things, Frankenstein horror, and some more Japanese. So thanks ever so much for watching, and I wish you all the very, very best.